Hello my friends, let's start this one from the Frontline update. We have some of the changes while Russians allegedly are spotted in Staroukrainka. It was a small infiltration attack. Couple of the Russian soldiers showed the same Russian flags from multiple of the perspectives were filmed by their own drone, and the video was already published on the Russian channels. Yeah, obviously Russians moved their red territory there to Staroukrainka. Yeah, it's under their control, but the fact it's not like that. It's just a flag operation. A usual outcome of those I'm gonna show you later after this story. So here is the brave Russian warrior with the flag. He tries to eat the flag. They have nothing to eat. Oh my god. You know, they're so miserable here. They eat their own flags. They're eating the dogs, they're eating the cats, they're eating the flags. Well, what I may say that it's just temporary. They will be annihilated, or maybe they're already annihilated with Ukrainian drones, and there will be, of course, counteroffensive. Usually it's just a drone job done by Ukrainian drone operators, nothing more. Sometimes, in occasional cases, Ukraine advances with infantry, but it's happening very rarely. So the similar story happened here in Pavlovka, Zaporizhzhia Oblast, where the Russian group was encircled and surrendered by Ukrainian forces. Here we have the report with the video itself. The armed forces of Ukraine captured Russian soldiers who were planning to shoot a fake video about advancement. 128th Mountain Assault Brigade of Ukrainian Army did this operation successfully. Russian occupiers were trying to enter Pavlovka, Zaporizhzhia. So this is Pavlovka, and I guess I already mentioned this infiltration attack of Russians towards Nova Yakovlevka and Pavlovka. Basically, it's the same group that was captured. So let's go for the video. How to capture Russian soldier. You know, it's the same as capturing some of the wild animal in the jungle. You basically need to find some of the pond or water, and animals will go there. Yeah, it seems like those Russians were definitely in lack of supplies, that they were forced to drink that water from the pond, and they were lucky because it was a warm temperature, warmer than usual, so ice melted down. Yeah, after all, Zaporizhzhia is the southern part of Ukraine. There is usually warmer than in the northern or central part. And here are those Russian heroes. They're explaining what had happened. And sorry, we don't have subtitles, I just switched the volume off, but I might tell you their main mission. The task was to bypass Ukrainian defense, do not encounter with the Ukrainian soldiers, and they needed to film the video in the village, preferably. They had their own small drone, and they should have filmed this video. That's it. That's their main goal of their operation. And yeah, they covered several of the kilometers for a couple of days, and later on they were captured. The Russians, by the way, already put this village into their red controlled area, which is absolutely a nonsense. And this is another part of the group. So totally 8 soldiers, but they split 4 by 4. And those were captured in Nova Yakovlevka, so very close to Pavlovka. They say the same story, that they were thrown there just to show Russian flags. That's it. They had a drone, actually 2 drones for this big group of 8 people. Well, at first they were captured. There was absolutely zero resistance from them and from another group as well. And it was the proper, good choice from the Russian soldiers to surrender. If they're out there on the front lines, actually this infiltration attack might help them because they don't have commanders. It is kind of rare that they have those, especially for those small groups, and no one from command would risk their lives. I mean, officers, even lieutenants and sergeants will never go for those attacks, absolutely. So they may just surrender to Ukraine, but sometimes they're brainwashed and they think that they should flatline themselves and it could be a better outcome. Like, for example, I already told you about the story of 18 of the Russian soldiers who were imprisoned for 1 day. It happened in Dobropilya direction, not far away from Zoloty Kolodets. They managed to cover several kilometers, but were captured. So they were so brainwashed that one guy told that I want to shoot myself, and he was asked, why didn't you do it? And he said that there was no ammo in our Kalashnikov, in AK. But now he's happy to be imprisoned by Ukraine because conditions in the Russian army are way worse than in Ukrainian captivity. By the way, my friends, just a few seconds of your attention. Usually I have the rise of subscribers on my videos, like for example 210 plus per one video. Yeah, sometimes 59 subscribers. That's all right. But this is the general statistics for YouTube channel, and you see that we are reaching the peak, or maybe people even unsubscribe. Well, still we're in plus, but it is very strange because for every video I have plus subscribers, plus if I check statistics per video, but general, somehow it's down. I know that sometimes YouTube is glitching and it might unsubscribe you. It happened to me once. Yeah, I was unsubscribed by this platform. So please check out your subscription for the channel if you are watching me on YouTube. And if you haven't been subscribed for the channel, please do it. It is illegal to watch me without subscription. Thank you so much for it, and press the like to the video. So subscribe, like, thank you for your attention. Let's continue. Long time no see. A Russian convoy attack with those UAZ vehicles. This is UAZ, and lots of the Russians started to run away. They have the detection about something flying towards them, you see? And, well, this guy, what is happening? What is he doing? Well, I guess for him it was too little too late. Kind of the clumsy. Yeah, we don't have the surveillance drone flying nearby to see the result of this kaboom, but it happened. It happened for sure, and was vehicle, it's absolutely no-go, and this guy in a white camouflage, he was at least partially touched by the shrapnel in the best case scenario for him, plus evacuated also in the best case scenario, because there is another vehicle and I guess they might have taken him to the Russian positions back. Or maybe they continue their assault. Sometimes they just do not care and continue, go, despite their losses, wounded personnel. It's not like in Ukrainian army. Then Ukraine tries to handle all of the infantrymen, including wounded, so it's better to slow down or even cancel the operation, but to save the lives of Ukrainian soldiers. Russians, they have different priorities. I guess we should return more to Zaporizhzhia direction, because aside of this flag operation of the Russian army, the situation in Gulyaipole is standard. Ukraine is using lots of the drones, but I see more losses for Ukraine not far away from Ternivata. By the way, this village is also not under the Russian control, but they use drones really far away behind the front line. So unfortunately, we should check, there are more losses from Ukrainian side. I mean vehicle losses mostly, because Ukraine is using real army vehicles, not Lada Zhiguli or UAZ Bukhanka vans, no, a real MRAPs. So Ukraine is losing also the real MRAPs. This one was flatlined with the help of Lancet drone. Well, this is the previous loss. It happened more than a week ago, as well as this one. Now let's go to the Pokrovsk direction. There, I would say no any changes for today. Just Ukraine is using tanks. Again, it was published 3 days ago, February the 4th. The tank was used not far away from Grishina. It's some sort of the Western-made tank, maybe, I'm not sure. They just say tank. 155th Separate Motorized Brigade attacked Russian position with a tank in Grishina. So it's not the loss here, it's just a tank operation, successful one. Russians were not capable to detect the tank on time and kaput it. So tank went here, shoot towards the Russian positions and return back to Ukrainian positions. At the same time, Russians also tried to go to Grishina, and they also tried to use this road Echo 50. But Ukraine cancelled this bridge on the road, so Russians will not be able to use this one for the further advancement. And Ukraine still has this secondary road that goes towards Grishina from the northwestern side. So here's the location of the bridge, the video itself from the drone. The bridge is no more, and the road itself. So Russians will have to bypass it. That is way more complicated. Well, the bridge was mined from inside. Those boxes contain TM62 mines. Drone flown there, and everything of that just blasted up, destroying everything. Yeah, huge kaboom happened. Those mines are really, really powerful. As for the rest, well, Pokrovsk Mirnograd is boiling, but not as much as previous months or the months before. Then Russians definitely tried to get more ground with all of the forces they had in the region, and finally it just brought them more losses. But in Konstantinovka, Ukraine recently lost 1 to 3 of the vehicles, 2 MRAPs and 1 GUVs or UGVs, it's better to say, unmanned ground vehicle. It is here, this vehicle. This video has been shared by the Russian channel, so the small supply drone was heading somewhere and Russians managed to hit it. It is hard to say what is on top, what this drone was carrying, but definitely it's the supply. It's not the combat drone. I mean, drone robot, I guess ground drone. Yeah, ground drone, let's call it like this. It was kaputted, sadly, but still better than the vehicle with some of the people inside. But here, close to the main road, Ukraine delivered some of the supplies using, I guess, Kirpi MRAP. Yeah, here the Russian surveillance drone spotted Ukrainians offloading supplies from the Kirpi vehicle that was delivering everything of that to one of the houses that is still under Ukrainian control. And here we see, yeah, definitely it's Kirpi. It has the armor cage on top, anti-drone cage, but drone hit exactly towards the front part of the vehicle, towards the engine compartment, and of course it damaged the engine. Well, luckily, Ukrainian soldiers were at the back side of the vehicle, and then it was hit. Ukrainian soldiers were not hurt. However, they decided to evacuate this vehicle, yeah, even though it was smoking like that, but our guys managed to start it up, and they went on this vehicle further. They went on a local road, then the vehicle finally stopped because it was significantly damaged after all and simply broke down, so Ukrainian soldiers left it from the place. And Russians sent one more drone to check out, yeah, you see it's smoking still. So it was damaged. There is the oil underneath. Russians were flying around, and you see that the door is open. So crew left the vehicle. So there was no one inside, and those are the good news. Yeah, you see, no one. Awesome. And just with the help of 2 of the drones, Russians managed to ignite this vehicle, and it's over. It's no go. But it is safe. It saved the lives of Ukrainian soldiers. It is used for supply deliveries, as you see. But Russians, they might spoil the vehicles. They might still kaput them without any Starlinks, because for this kind of the drone operation, they don't need Starlink. And this is one more MRAP, also in Konstantinovka direction, the third one that was lost for the last week. Also, you may see that the door is open, so everyone left the vehicle. It was stopped and finished on the road. But this is what Russia is using. So 1, 2, 3, 4 people on this Lada armored vehicle. It's better to say unarmored vehicle. So they have no protection, nothing, absolutely. So they just go, somehow they stop here, they try to get their belongings out, then something happened. And that's something, well, probably I can show you on the screen. It was a strike with a single drone. Complete strike, the vehicle is damaged, and the Russians are somehow not willing to go anywhere. They were just lying and relaxing. Ukrainian commanders also commented this stuff saying, wow, let's send one more drone, they say. A full video of this Lada accident is available on my Telegram channel, which you may find in the video description just below. Well, overall, I would say that Ukraine is more effective compared to the Russian army. This is BM-21 Grad that Russia lost just recently. Sadly, with the Ukrainian drone, so at first it was damaged, but later on, all of those shells exploded, and the Baba Yaga drone that was flying on top, it also disappeared in this flame. But the cost of Baba Yaga is of course way lower compared to the Russian Grad system. Grad system is a little outdated, it is in lack of precision, but still, if they cover some of the area where there is the presence of Ukrainian army, Ukrainian soldiers, some of the munition, it could be effective in a way. So this is kind of the fat target. And Russians, they start to use more of those BM-21 Grad systems, standard ones, but because of the shorter range, they are forced to deploy them closer to the front lines. And that is where Ukrainian Baba Yaga drone plays its role. By the way, in some of the cases, Baba Yaga is equipped with a Starlink antenna, and there was the hint from the Russian Z channels. They say, like, guys, if you want to have a Starlink antenna which is working, capture Baba Yaga drone. Yeah, it's kind of easy, yeah, thing to capture Baba Yaga drone. Usually it captures someone on a camera with a drone drop, and that's the last picture. That is the revenge of Russians against Starlink. As Medvedev told before, yeah, we're gonna nuke satellites of Starlink, we're gonna nuke Starlink production, yeah. But the real reaction, you saw. By the way, this is Zaporizhzhia direction. Ukraine actively is using lots of the MiG-29 fighter jets. I hope that the new deal about those airplanes will be agreed with Poland and Ukraine may obtain more of those. Aviation gliding bombs are used in Donbass, Kherson, everywhere. And here it is successful Ukrainian strike. Ukraine is not wasting those gliding bombs on Russian small infiltration attacks, just on some special targets, vehicles, dugouts, the concentration of the enemy force, but the small attacks are usually flatlined by drones or sometimes infantry. Alright, let's go back to Konstantinovka. As for me, this is one of the most intense directions nowadays, the hottest spot. Not even Pokrovsk and Mirnograd, no, Konstantinovka, because Russia uses infantry, aviation gliding bombs and drones, everything they use here, as well as Ukraine. Russia mainly bombs this district with lots of the several-story buildings, and recently they had this attack attempt, but it failed. Ukraine flatlined Russians with the help of the drones. Konstantinovka is fully boiling. Russia causes losses for Ukrainian side behind the front lines even sometimes, but Ukraine may also strike kind of deep, like for example near Donetsk. Here the Russian vehicle was hit, and we have the video compilation and geolocation actually showing the Russian Ural truck. Yeah, here it is. It was definitely hit on that road. By the way, they spotted the drone, but drone went right into the cabin of the vehicle. So driver probably will not be able to drive anything, not just this Ural, any longer. And this spot is almost 50 kilometers away from Pokrovsk and Mirnograd. Also, Ukrainian drone operators, they're usually behind the front lines, so the distance from the launching spot could be up to maybe 70 kilometers. It gives us a clue that probably Ukraine was using an airplane type of the drone that was used as the retranslator of the signal and as a mother drone to launch smaller FPV drones, and they did the job here. Quite successful. Well, those attacks in general using mother drones, they're quite rare, because enemy has electronic warfare, air defense systems. It's difficult to bypass everything of that, but sometimes Ukraine could be successful. Sometimes. In Konstantinovka direction, Russians also surrendered to Ukrainians. It happened over here, not far away really from the city. Russians advanced there with a small infiltration attack, but the result is over here. Ukraine definitely gets more and more of the Russian prisoners of war. It has never been like that. Actually, has never been. Maybe during the big Ukrainian counteroffensive operations, like in Kharkiv, for example. But aside of that, it's kind of a unique situation for Ukraine right now, and it's good for Russians, I mean for Russian soldiers. They have the chance to surrender, and they do it. In most of the cases, I see they do it. Alright, one more video compilation we have from the winter front lines. As you may see here, there is the Russian armored vehicle, Russian Bukhanka van. I can already see it. It looks like MRAP, but no, it's Bukhanka. You can see small wheels. Also, Ukraine uses fiber optic control drones to fly behind the front lines and ambush Russian positions. This is Ural truck on the left that was hit, some of the wheels of Ural truck. A Grad system that was destroyed that I already showed you before, and here are the remains of it, as our guys said. And the Russian artillery system. That is 152mm gun was also nailed down by Ukrainian drones. Two of the drones. Yeah, some of the Russian Kamaz vehicles, the Lada that I showed you before. So basically the main reason for me to stay on Twitter, or X as Elon Musk calls it, is simply because I follow those analytics online. That's the main thing. If I was just a user, I would have quitted it already long time ago, because I don't really like Twitter, but since I follow our guys there, I'm here. I need it for my job. If we go to the deep state military map, we may see that Russians, they're still advancing. Just a little, but it doesn't mean that they're controlling all of those positions. Yeah, not far away, their group was captured even here, but it doesn't mean that they're pretty much successful. I would say front lines are standstill. That's here and here where they moved without capturing any sort of the new settlements. I read our military analytic, who is a real combat officer. He says that Russia continued to grind itself down in Rodinsk. There were numerous of the attacks, but all of them are stopped by Ukrainian soldiers, Ukrainian drones mostly, and soldiers who operate those drones. So Russia bogged down completely on the front lines, and it is already understandable that they're getting ready for the summer campaign, which they could start even before a little, maybe in May, April, because the weather is pretty much okay for the time in Ukraine. So Russia gathers more resources, but something tells me that they will not be successful. The same as the last year, as this winter, Russia is bogged down. Yeah, fully. They are unable to propel as they used to, and the battle for Pokrovsk and Mirnograd still continues for more than a year, maybe 1.5 years already. I'm not calculating those dates, but it's a very long time for those two settlements. It's a lot. And for Konstantinovka, it's the same playbook. Russia is crawling like, I don't know, turtles? Turtles. Even turtles are faster, way faster. Right, guys, let's continue with our frontline update. Oh, Russians are running here. What they're running from? From a Ukrainian drone, which is flying towards the Russian air defense system Tor and the Russian Ural truck. It was a bullseye hit, you can see pretty much precisely. I guess this truck was there for maintenance. Maybe it was loading some of the missiles on this air defense, which is quite effective. Russia sometimes puts Tor on their ships, and here it was really behind the front lines, but primary drone unit is very effective elsewhere. In Crimea, in Donetsk, Luhansk, in Zaporizhzhia, they operate elsewhere with FP2 drones, and not just FP2 drones. This looks awesome. And we have this longer video with many more Russian air defense systems. This is Panzer S1 system that was also hit. Russia especially put those on top for Ukrainian drone operators to spot the Russian air defense from the really far perspective. One more Tor air defense allegedly was hit. I tell here allegedly because drone, it seems like it flown over or maybe touched this small radar on the top, but it didn't aim into this vehicle. It's 100% because the cross is over here. But at least this Tor that you've seen before, it was flatlined. Yes. Also Russian Neba-M system radar in a stored position. It is used to identify enemy drones, plus cruise missiles, airplanes, helicopters, whatsoever, but Ukrainian drones somehow hit them really hard. In stored position, in deployed position, doesn't really matter. And one more radar, RLS Protivnik GE, and this Russian is running. Oh, why are you running? So this is running, and one more Russian is climbing down, yeah, descending with the stairs. Oh, roll, ninja. Whoo, poof. Yeah, probably that one survived because after all, it's not the launcher, so there's no rocket fuel or something. It's just a radar, and drone carries not a lot of TNT, so maybe this guy is lucky. Could be not. Again, primary drone unit. Yeah, awesome. Lots of the expensive hardware was hit, definitely. Russia is losing air defense after air defense. Every week they lose something. Tor, Buk, S-300, S-400, Raiders. Russians are complaining that Starlink signal is absent. Well, today they spread actually misinformation. That with the help of the Ukrainian traders who are in Ukraine themselves, they managed to register some of the Starlinks in Ukrainian system and they're working. Well, if those cases are happening, those are just occasional. Because the system works, I know already how it works. Ukraine has all of the information about those Starlinks which are registered. Particular location, information about the owner and who this thing is registered on. And Starlinks, which are used by military, they went through the Delta system. That's internal communication system of Ukraine, and Russia cannot access it. No any way they may do it. It's a very secured one. But for civilian Starlink user, okay, you go, you register. I want to register Starlink for it to be used by Russians. I send my Starlink via UAA, let's say, to Russian army, and I put it on my name. I'm that crazy. But Ukrainian army will see some of the strange Starlink that belongs to civilian on the front lines. So this is stupid what Russians really spread there. It's not like that. This is informational operation. They definitely don't know how to bypass the system, well, at least for now, and they're looking for alternates. But what they write on their Telegram channels, it's not like that, guys. They're really in a deep problem with Starlinks, and how their military bloggers explained before, even for example on the tanks, they use the Starlinks, so the tank crew, they see the surveillance live on monitors, which is coming from the drones, and they may correct how they move on the front lines, how they fire. The same goes for artillery, by the way. And now they don't have this tool. The only way to coordinate is to use radio frequency, but radio frequency is more vulnerable for electronic warfare, for interception of the signal compared to Starlink. So they're in big trouble, and some of them, military bloggers, they definitely say that they don't have any sort of the communication, and that Ukrainian army is even counterattacking. Yeah, for now I cannot say particular direction, but maybe tomorrow I'm gonna explain you more about that one. Well, guys, as today it was update from the front lines, I have more news, but I want to record separate video about political information, about strikes deep inside Russia, Russian strikes deep inside Ukraine. For all of that, please stand by for one more video. I hope to upload it after I'll have my sleep, I wake up, and I promise to record the video. And my separate thanks for my Patreon supporters and also members of the channel. Guys, you're making my job possible. Thank you so much for it. And also, please don't forget to press like to this video and subscribe for the channel. It is very important. And I wish you all a peaceful sky wherever you are, and have a great time.